We will call this April 30th Brown County Commission meeting to order. Commissioner Piper, will you lead the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning. First item on the agenda, we have Jay Howard discuss property taxes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Step up to one of the front chairs there, Jay, if you would, please. What are we discussing today?
Well, this actually concerns my son's delinquent property taxes.
Okay.
The interest and penalties on it is $2,907.29, and I would wonder if I could get that. I'll pay the exact tax if we can forgive the interest and fees. It's just my thing. There's one rate of interest, the first one in the year 13 is 47%. Interest on it for that 1 year was $994. It's a little excessive.
Is that because it's so long ago?
Those rates are set by statute.
That isn't the actual tax per year that they charge on.
What's
In
that?
13, that isn't the actual tax
Well,
fee.
the further you go back, the more it's going to be compounded because we have more time going by.
Oh,
so
each
the
one of
first
these
year is
statements are
47, the
compounded
next-
interest rate?
It looks like it's 47 that year,
Okay.
but then it goes 37, 27, 17,
Yeah,
so
you get-
you're going up 10% roughly a year.
Okay. You get down to the bottom and then it drops 7%.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
I think that's why it's that way, it's because more time is going by.
Okay.
And that rate is set by South Dakota statute, so that rate is out of our control.
So that's accumulated interest over that period of time.
Right.
Okay, I get it now.
What's the total without the interest and fees? Is that the 15, that 15 total?
That's full rate.
Okay, so it'd be less the 29?
17, 22, about 2,900. So minus 3, about 12, a little over 12.
Was he unaware of the bill out there? Did it miss going to the wrong place? Did he just ignore it? What's going on with it?
It's just a very rough time and very bad depression.
Gotcha.
So,
Is that a road we want to start down? Have we done it in the past? Have we ever forgiven any part?
The statute says you can only forgive interest and penalties if the county has made an error in the assessment.
Okay.
Otherwise, as far as I know, under the statute, you cannot forgive taxes and interest.
Okay. So our hands are somewhat tied on what we can do according to South Dakota law.
well, there is an error though.
Okay?
They was charged 15% too much.
Is there any errors?
He's talking about that assessment error that's higher than it was supposed to be.
And I'm not picking anybody, I'm using that as a lead-in or an excuse.
Oh, so this is ag land? It's not somebody's where they live?
No, it's ag land.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And that was taken care of through the settlement that was reached.
But there's also 3/4 of land that he sold that he won't benefit from the settlement that you reached, which I understand you can't cross every T and dot every I on that stuff, but I'm looking for dollars, I guess is where it is.
Would it help to set up some type of a payment plan?
I'll pay the taxes in full if we can get the reduction, somewhat of a reduction.
See, I think in the past, we've set up,
But he's not the owner, Dennis.
Yeah,
well, but I mean, you'd have to work it through your son.
No, I'll just pay the taxes. It'd be that simple. I'll just pay the tax.
Are you saying a payment plan for the remainder?
Yeah.
pay the taxes, but set up a payment plan with your son, have your son set up a contract to pay the interest over 2 or 3 year period of time, and do it that way, because I don't think that we can forgive the interest by the state law. I mean, I don't know.
Where's that code at?
I don't know it off the top of my head, it's in the taxation code, it's in 32,
Well, unfortunately, our hands are tied. The South Dakota codified law dictates that we can't forgive the interest.
Well, but I'm still saying that there is a mistake in the taxes because of the 15%. That's the only thing I'm using that for, is to make the mistake in the taxes, therefore you should be able to do it. That's what the statute says.
Well, I dispute whether or not it was a mistake, so.
Well,
I appreciate where you're coming from,
I'm not-
but yeah, that's,
Yeah, I'm not getting into that. I mean, it's there, so I'll use it.
no, and I appreciate where you're coming from with that.
Well, I think even in bankruptcy court, the judges have you can't forgive taxes even in bankruptcy, because it becomes the people's money the minute that tax bill's sent out, and then the taxes come in. It's not the commissioner's money, it's the people's money. And I don't think, I mean, in bankruptcy, you can't forgive taxes either. They have to settle for the full amount of tax and interest. I mean, it's not always the way we like it, it's sometimes the way we're told it has to be done.
Well, I think when it comes to bankruptcy, and I may be wrong, taxes come first.
I think that's right.
and this property is over at the state's attorney's office now. They are in the process of taking tax deed on it right now. We've done the original work where we're sending out the letters and so on, so it's a time-sensitive issue. It is going through that process.
How much time do we have?
Well, the 60 days countdown hasn't started yet because he hasn't filed the final papers, so we know we have at least 60 days yet. And I would guess about maybe 90, probably.
For them to make full payment and still retain it?
Yeah.
Can we, excuse me, but can we forego this process with the state's attorney's office with just by paying the taxes? Or can I pay the taxes being it's in the state's attorney's office?
You can pay the taxes just as paying the taxes. You can just pay them. You can't take tax deed yourself because you're paying.
No, I have no intention of doing that.
But yeah, anytime they're paid up until the last time when I signed the deed, they can still be paid.
So Chris, if the taxes are paid in full, does that action just go away then in the state's attorney's office? We just won't go. Okay.
You're saying taxes, meaning taxes and penalties and
Right. Once that bill has been paid, the action at the state's attorney's dropped, and you've got a fresh 5 years again, put it that way. And hopefully things get better for you.
If I would have been paying more attention, this wouldn't be here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
But he'd have 90 days to do this, is that what you're saying?
The interest will change a little bit, but yes, 90 days. Interest and fees change.
From the day,
Well, once Chris is done with his work, 60-day countdown starts by law till I sign the deed. So we haven't started that yet. So I'm saying we have a minimum of 60, more likely closer to 90.
Okay.
But the interest and penalties will change.
Well, can we do that? Can we set a payment schedule up? Instead of, if I just pay the taxes, can we set a payment schedule up?
That's essentially what we did with the
He's not the owner. He's not the owner of the property.
I think we gotta have that tax part of that, or a good chunk of it, to know.
I hate to step on his toes too much, you know.
And the easiest thing to do would be pay it. And just be done with it, and I can start the tax process. We just won't go forward with it.
Well, if you're prepared and in a position to pay, $12,000, give or take on it, that would get it down to less than 2 years delinquent, and then work on the balance of it. And
Well,
What do you say?
if he's in a position to pay,
That doesn't stop the proceeding, because you have to work backwards.
okay,
So the oldest tax is still 5 years old.
All
That
right.
doesn't work like
all
that.
right, excuse me.
if we pay the 15,000 plus, then that, everything ends, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, it's current and there's no dispute.
That's interest and the taxes.
Yeah,
due,
that'd be
right?
the whole thing. And evidently your hands are tied, I can't get any interest reduction or penalty reduction.
Unfortunately, they are. South Dakota law dictates what we can and can't do.
Yeah, several years ago, when we settled my father-in-law's estate, we did that. They forgive all the interest and penalties, and that's kind of what I was basing off of. But that's been several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a feeling you're not alone. I'm guessing you're seeing quite a few in the ag communities that 5-year rule. You pay the bills you can pay, and then you forego maybe the property tax, knowing that you can come back when times get a little better and pay that bill. So I understand where you're coming from. Things aren't easy right now.
Well, I wish there was something we could do for you, but we really can't, I don't think.
Well, you gotta do what the law says, that's all you can do.
Right.
So, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, ladies.
We got just a couple of minutes, but I don't care. We got a couple things.
Yeah, we have the minutes from April 23rd, General Equalization and Consolidated Board.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Piker, to approve the minutes from the April 23rd consolidated general meeting and equalization meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We have claims and payroll.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Piper, second by Kifley, to approve claims and payroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
HR report.
I have a question regarding the part-time employees for maintenance. They've been there a year, so she wants to get them up to a level that's...
There's a two-year schedule on the part-timers for maintenance.
But she wants to do it after a year?
After the first year, then they go to the second year rate.
Okay. So she's just following
That's in the
policy?
salary schedule.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because
Yep.
it sounded like she just wanted to,
Yeah,
because
no,
he's
that's-
been there a year, okay.
That's all they have is a two-year plan,
Okay.
and on the second...
I just wanted to verify what was going on there, so
Yeah.
I'll move it based on that.
Second. Moved by Sutton, second by Piker, to approve the HR report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I think it's the last page right there.
Leases.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Weiss, second by Sutton, to approve the leases. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claim assignment.
Move. Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Sutton, to approve the claim assignments. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Fair contracts.
Second. Moved by Kifley, second by Piker, to approve the fair contracts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Nope, that's all that we have. I guess I could give you an update. We did sell those Heckle lots yesterday.
Oh, good.
Okay.
What did they bring?
$1,000.
To a private individual or the city?
To an individual, the guy who owns that mobile home.
Oh, good, so they're going back on the tax rolls.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Good.
Sounds great.
Life is good.
So, what were the back taxes on that?
Oh, I don't...
1,500?
Roughly, I
A
don't know.
little over that.
1,500 and something, yeah.
No big a deal.
Sounds like farming.
Make it up in a volume.
Yeah.
Next item on our agenda, we have Deanna with the Brown County Community Health
Morning.
Quarterly
Morning.
Report.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
So we were recording for January, February, March. Kind Kind of just business as usual. Family planning, which is the department that I work in, was awarded a new 3-year Title 10 grant that was effective April 1st. So we're back in business for a few years. WIC is just status quo as well. We have 53 pregnant women. 10 of them are considered high risk, and so we meet with them monthly and provide postpartum visits to them. We issue 22 cribs to families that do not have a safe sleep environment for their babies. Still dealing with flu. There were still some cases as of last week. Over 9,000 confirmed cases this year, which is the most, I think, that we've ever seen. They performed over 32,000 tests at the state lab, 632 hospitalizations and 39 deaths. And there is a chart that kind of goes through all the years and what we've seen for confirmed cases, and you can see it's significantly higher than any other year in the past. I mentioned last time that we were here that we had the new Bright Start program. Linda Hansen is the nurse that's providing services to pregnant women, and she will actually see these women up until the baby is 2 years old, and she's only been in the building for a couple of months. She already has a caseload of about 13 families that she's working with and meeting with regularly. We'll also be going over to Central in May to start giving 6th grade shots. So if you remember Tdap, meningococcal, and HPV, Tdap and meningococcal are required, and so we'll go over in May for their school physicals and offer some shots at that time, and then we send out flyers to all the schools to put in their newsletter that they'll need to get that done before they enter school in August.
Going into 6th grade or going into 7th?
12-year-old going into 7th. Yeah, 6th, I'm sorry. It is 6th grade. Yep. Questions?
Are measles an issue?
Not for us yet. No, we have not had any confirmed cases in South Dakota, but that remains to be...
But you're monitoring it closely.
We are, very closely, yeah. So we send out lots of information to providers to be looking for symptoms and that kind of thing. And we do, of course, every single year have families that are not vaccinated here in Aberdeen and Brown County as well. So it is something that we do monitor closely. We do audit every immunization record that comes through to make sure kids are appropriately immunized. But parents can sign exemptions. So I won't say that we won't see a case of it, but we are monitoring closely.
Very good.
And mosquito season is starting.
Already, I know.
And it's going to be a busy one.
It is.
I was looking at your flu cases, we had almost 9,500 cases, only 632 hospitalizations. And I looked at a couple other years, like one year we had 2,000 cases, we had 965 hospitalized, and you look at those numbers, has our care gotten that much better on our flu, or
It
is it
depends
vaccines?
on what virus is circulating. So H1N1, we typically will see that the disease onset is not as great as if it's H3N2, and then of course it depends on if the vaccine is a good match. So every year whatever's circulating makes a difference in how many hospitalizations and deaths we see. Yep.
Keep your fingers crossed and see what strain comes.
Yeah, and so we're, like I said, we still had like 49 cases that we saw last week, so we are still confirming cases. Yeah, and people are hopefully better at getting flu shots, I don't know.
And probably a lot of them that don't get reported too.
Of course, yeah, there's a lot of people that don't go in. Absolutely.
Tough it out.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, I'll see you in 3 months.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
We got about a few minutes before the next agenda item. Gary, do you have anything?
No, I do not.
Anything else? Commission got anything on their minds that we can discuss in the meantime until our next?
Are we going to have a department head meeting anytime soon? Do we schedule one?
We said the last time that we were just going to schedule as needed,
We should
and
probably do one and introduce HR for those of us.
we can certainly set that up.
Do you guys think?
Because I think we also need to set up our training, now that our training center is up and running with Windows 10 coming out. I think we're going to need to ramp up our training on the computer side.
Yeah, they're going to do some Windows 10 training, they're going to still do some more sundial training, so yeah, we're going to start using that.
Good.
So maybe sometime, summers get crazy, but do something this summer. Everybody good with the Tuesday stuff? Maybe after commission meeting?
Works for me. Next
Fire
Tuesday?
department have meeting?
Sounds good to me.
How about
There's a lot of notice.
May 14th, maybe?
What do you thought? I think we need one.
May 14th, I'm gone that day. I'll miss out on.
Or May 21?
I think next week will be a little sudden for everybody to,
Wait a couple weeks?
I don't think so probably, because
Shoot for May 21.
Sounds good. Is that okay with you?
Fine.
Okay. So definitely the training, maybe,
Brainstorm about what else we want to get in.
IT, BDNs, all that stuff we can talk about, timeframes, HR.
Sounds good.
as far as, the move, are we telling Judy to make sure everything's ready downstairs, or what are we, I guess we probably need to make sure that she's got the go-ahead to make sure that's what we're doing is,
I think Judy needs that, direction, definitely. Needs to be
Plan for the
moved
move.
forward.
So is that correct, that the only big change is just the one door into the break room of the dispatch? As far
I
as,
think
as what we're doing
Is there
building?
two doors, one off the hallway, yeah.
between the two
Two doors,
doors.
two doors, one off the hallway and one out of the room way in the back where planning and zoning is gonna go.
There's a window in there that used to be a door.
Okay, between the
There are
mirror,
two IT
between
rooms.
Paul's office and where
Yep,
the other
right,
two were?
right.
Okay.
And then there's gonna be an entry from the hallway coming into that first office
Right.
on the north side where communication was.
Yep. I think we give her the go-ahead to get it done, and so we can get them moved over.
I haven't heard if she got an estimate for the blue building.
No, I haven't
As
heard.
far
I
as
haven't heard either.
I think she was working on that to get us an estimate. One of the things that, we made specific with her is that this bathroom that's gonna be ADA in the blue building, that we make sure that if we tie another building on, that that's accessible through that. So when you look at a cost, if we do this ADA bathroom right in the old building, it'll cut down the cost if we do decide to put another building in. So that money probably wouldn't all be thrown away because you're planning ahead to make an ADA compatible for an add-on. And just so people are aware of that, it's not just for putting an ADA. The intent is to make sure we make it of good use if we do add on, that bathroom can be accessed. So if an addition would be put on, we'd have our ADA bathroom already installed. So I think that has a bearing on our estimate as far as what we're gonna get for dollars for this new building to put the bathroom in. So I think that has a bearing also as far as, it's not just the true cost of that, it's gonna have a benefit if we,
That might be a question for city planning and zoning too, whether or not we go over there now for a building permit for that add-on or for the upgrade that we're talking about, that we go back over there, that for some reason, find out how that fits together. Maybe Judy needs to ask that question.
I think we're probably close enough to our next item, don't you think? We're
Yep.
about a minute and a half off. Next item on the agenda, we have Rick Adama, Elm Lake Dam Management. Is Rick out there and crew?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Good morning.
Come on in, have a chair in the front there, or on the sides, or whoever your spokesman is, kind of, maybe wants to sit in the front there, or, do you have a spokesman?
Come on.
My name is Rick Adam. I called in to get on the agenda. My mother-in-law is Arlene Hickson. She lives right below the dam, the Elm Lake Dam. We were up at the Elm Lake. Water went over the secondary spillway on Friday night, the 29th, and it was going over that spillway about a foot deep, from what I heard. I did not see it myself. And then Saturday, they got Daryl Schrum to come up with an excavator and clean the snow off of the primary spillway, the concrete spillway. My mother-in-law called the Aberdeen City Engineer's office on the 25th and the 27th to tell them that the primary spillway was dammed with snow and that would keep the water from going over and the lake would build up, and they said, we're on it, we got a backhoe coming, and the water started going over sometime in the night on Friday night. I have some pictures on my iPad of the damage done to the secondary spillway. I've been here, you can just, that'll be the last, you can go either way. I've been here since 1991. This is the second time I've seen the water go over that spillway, and every time it does that I've seen, it does some pretty extensive damage to that. There's a lot of damage. There's a lot of materials that have been dumped in her pastures and fences that have been destroyed. I built a gate in front of that that secondary spillway after it happened last time, because when that big gush of water and dirt and rocks comes through there, it rips out the fences. So I made the gate to where the gate would fail and it would save the fences a little bit, and it worked. But downriver farther, there's fences. There's Dennis and David can tell you.
We live right on the river bottom, right below Willow Lake. David Hines, you know, and this is totally uncalled for.
It's the worst probably you guys have ever seen it.
Yeah.
Other than 09.
09, it happened. 96, 97, it happened. They didn't clean the dam snow off the upper dam again. You know, I mean, who's in charge? You know, who's in charge of running these dams? You know, because we got Willow, we got the Maple, we got the Elm Lake, and then you got the Dry Branch coming in too. You know, and then nobody seems to know who's in charge of it. You know, there's no reason why they couldn't have dropped the Elm Lake 10 feet. They could have dropped Willow 20 feet. Because when they fixed them gates up at Willow, they said, well, it's going to take 4 or 5 years to fill it. It took 5 months, and Willow was full. Because Leola and that got 5-6 inches of rain. So, you know, somebody's not doing their job.
Well, I tell you what, if we'd got a 4 or 5 inch rain like they had down at Sioux Falls.
Oh, yeah.
Behind that, when that started that whole thing, before that snow was cleaned off there, somebody would have lost some houses.
My mother's down there, she's 80 years old. You know, I got to worry about her too, you know. And the water came up 16 feet in one day, and I've never seen it come up that high in one day.
We had no notification.
And no notification, no nothing.
On the
We were moving cattle out next to dark, moving horses out, everything. Trying to put stuff up in the air, you know, because in 09 I had a foot of water in my garage, you know, and no call, no nothing.
My opinion is, for what it's worth, is a lot of this could have been prevented if the snow would have been off that primary spillway. Even a 4-foot wide track off of that spillway. The water could have, as the lake rose, it could have...
The water could have slowly came over like it's done before.
The primary, and
You know.
I failed to do the research to figure out the elevation of the primary spillway compared to the secondary spillway, but it's at least a foot or two different. The secondary is higher than the primary. If that snow would have been off that concrete primary spillway, as the lake rose, it would have started flowing over. But for it to back up enough to go over the secondary and do that kind of work, and then they come out when it's going a foot over the secondary, and they open up the primary all of a sudden, it's going over that 3 feet. So now you got 4 feet of water coming over the dam all at once, and you have
A mess.
a huge surge. My contention is that the primary, and Dylan Cutler called in to the city engineer's office, and my mother-in-law called in twice. Dylan wanted to get sandbags, and they said, "Don, why do you need sandbags? They ain't gonna flood." Well, he's got damage down there too. He's in the middle of trying to clean all that up and gathering, so he couldn't come today.
I sent somebody to get sandbags and they charged them for the sandbags because it wasn't notified as an emergency yet. He had to pay money for the goddamn sandbags.
I think most of you know exactly where I live or about where I live. And my dad moved out there in 1954 And I didn't even know there was a problem up at Elm Lake until I heard Rick was gonna be here, but, I didn't know why, but we have more junk in our fields, pasture, fence damage than there has ever been there since 1954. And I don't know if that's because of the surge, but my guess is the surge was enough to maybe clean out some of the, dead wood that was places in between, but, it's not insurmountable, but as you know too, I at least thank the county for coming out and, trying to help, but it sounds like it could have been avoided, and it may be a city problem, but who watches out for us? Because I think most of us here know that if we call the city, you don't get a whole lot of support, so, for what that's worth.
My house is right, wasn't that close to the river, but in the last
2,
10
3
years,
floods, it's been washing out the
taking
banks.
probably 15 to 20 foot of my bank off, and it gets closer
And it's getting closer and closer from one of our roads too.
And we got one of our roads that there's a curve. We're either gonna have to move the road, or you're gonna have to rip wrap or do something, because it's a hazard. I mean, it's probably 6 foot from the edge of the road, and it drops 15, 20 feet
20
into the
feet.
river.
Does anybody know whether or not the city has any kind of, plan or anything as far as going up there and checking that spillway on a regular basis when these kinds of things are happening? I mean, has anybody had any conversation with them at all? I mean, I don't think that we here as a commission have had any conversation with them. I mean, that's probably what we have to do is, somehow get the city notified that there's a problem there and find out who is in charge and who...
The city was notified, in my opinion. Arlene called Robin Bobzine's office twice.
Yeah, the
Dylan called her
engineers,
twice.
are they in charge of lowering them dams in the fall or in the winter, when you're getting between 50 and 82 inches of snow? Common sense tells you need to lower them dams, because there's, Elm Lake will fill that 10 feet in no time from what's coming up from North Dakota and Pheasant Lake,
On Friday, I was up by Allendale, and I went west on Highway 11, and there were North Dakota DOT workers at every culvert.
Yeah, they're opening up every culvert because they don't want the roads to flood and
To
stuff,
keep the water coming south, and it was going over Pheasant Lake pretty substantially, in my opinion. I went home, I called my fire chief, I'm a volunteer firefighter for Frederick. I called Kevin Barton and I said, I'm going to take a fire truck up and I'm going to try to use water to hose that snow off that. And he said, don't worry about it, they got a backhoe coming. They didn't get there in time.
River should have been running 2 weeks before it did. Well, unfortunately,
Okay,
the county doesn't have a lot of jurisdiction on the Willow or the Elm.
okay, who does?
It's the city-owned water, it's their drinking water.
Okay.
The city is in charge of the Willow and the Elm.
I had
The
asked the city who was in charge on April 3rd, and Linlander responded, Elm Lake Dam is in the flood structure. The dam's primary purpose is for potable water and recreation. The South Dakota School and Public Lands owns and oversees the safety of the dam. I'm not aware of any written or verbal agreement requiring the city or county to oversee snow or ice removal from the Elm Lake Dam.
Who said that?
Linlander.
So I guess we're
Typical.
They're pushing the blame on school public lands, being responsible.
But then the question is, who helps those in between?
So I had just Googled as you guys were talking, on the city's website, there's a pre-disaster mitigation plan that was updated in 2010, before my time. But it's prepared by the Northeast Council of Governments. Really detailed, talks about risk assessment, mitigation strategy, and all of the different cities and players involved in that. I don't know if that's something that needs to be updated again, it needs to be followed, or how that works. It's 81 pages, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. But
And that's the cities.
it's on the city's website. The county, the city, all the cities, Frederick, Groveland, all of them are involved.
Arlene said that a couple years ago when the spillway was blocked with snow, somebody came up with a skid steer, got up on the spillway with a skid steer, and they cut one bucket width, define a bucket width on a skid loader, you can make from 3 foot from 8 to 8 or 10, it would have taken a 4 or 5 foot swath through there, and the water would have taken care of the rest. But you gotta get the water started. Once it's dammed up, it just sits there, and it can't get going.
Well, it sounds like we need to set up a meeting between the city, the county, and school and public lands, so that we have a plan for the next time it happens, because it will happen again, and somebody needs to be better prepared to address it sooner.
Well, and then we need to find out who's gonna fix that emergency spillway too, because, I mean, is it school and public lands, or is it the city, or who's gonna fix the emergency spillway? Because if it doesn't get fixed, and this happens again, eventually it's gonna cut out and the whole works is gonna go.
You said it.
How long would it take? I didn't measure any of this, I just walked out there and took some pictures. How many cubic yards of fill is it gonna take to fix that? Should there be some riprap on the bottom side of that?
Well, definitely, because...
How many hours would it take? Maybe it ran over for 12 hours off of that secondary. If it did that kind of damage in a day and a half, in 2 days, would it eat that secondary spillway out completely? Then the folks in Westport
Are gone.
Then you're gonna have a major FEMA deal going on. Prevention,
And if you put something in there now, it's not gonna be like it was the original, because you're just filling it in, it's still gonna be loose, so in a couple of years, if that happens again, that's the first place it's gonna wash out.
Somehow it's gotta be tied in there.
There's a lot of smaller spots that you can't see that are starting to, in the grass. I walked around on the whole thing up there, and there's smaller spots that pictures do, and pictures don't do it justice what it looks like right now. Come on up, I'll give you a ride out there, we'll go walk around and look at it.
I know Gary has seen some of the,
Yeah.
at my place, and it just keeps getting worse every year, where I used to be able to drive alongside the trees, you don't even dare walk between the trees and the bank anymore. And like I say, the cost even you guys came up with to help me there, that, it's prohibitive to actually go in and put metal or something in there. It's just, you need to try to mitigate it every year a little bit.
I'm not sure who's in charge of forecasting the flood levels either, because they were kind of forecasting the Elm to be like a moderate flood at the time that I was watching, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't a moderate flood, so nobody was really concerned. Well, it's not, they're forecasting, we can handle that. Well, it obviously went higher than that, so I don't know who does the forecasting on that or what. And Mother Nature actually cooperated with it.
We were lucky that it got cold that night, and it didn't get that warm, because otherwise, oh boy, it would not have been pretty. It would have been the worst one yet,
Spencer, Nebraska got a bunch of rain and all, it melted all their snow at once, and that put the dam out and took the bridge out over 281, and, we could be in competition with them for national news highlight reels if we got lucky, we were blessed. This can be fixed.
But it's a wake-up call, so we need to organize a meeting with all of the players and determine who's going to take responsibility and who's going to respond. Because the point is, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's pretty critical. That spillway, the primary spillway, is there for a reason at the level, and if it needs to be changed. But it's not intended to allow for snow and ice to build up and allow it to back up.
Right.
It's intended to run when it reaches that level.
Yes, sir.
And obviously there really isn't a specific plan to address it if this happens. And it's happened enough times now in recent past that we absolutely need to address it, determine who's responsible for it. And who's going to respond to it, because there's a plan in place to replace some of that primary spillway. Well, if it's not going to be allowed to function under these, unique circumstances, that's something that needs to be
about
addressed.
every 10 years, we've been getting smacked.
And we can have a pretty insignificant amount of snow here. But you get north and west of Ellendale up there, it's a big watershed. And when they get
Forbes Hills.
And the Forbes Hills get 6 inches of rain in 4 hours.
It'll go over the spillway.
You can watch it come up.
And it'll happen quickly.
I think we need to facilitate a meeting between the key players and get a plan put together, talk about it.
One of the
So we
questions
know.
that needs to be asked, though, that you come up with that's interesting, and that is, you know, like Jamestown, I mean, the talk was that Jamestown was really low and they had a lot of storage, there wasn't a problem. Well, now you take that into the Elm Lake watershed,
Yep.
and with the city getting 12 feet off the top of that, they've got access to the top 12 feet
Right.
for drinking water. Now, whether or not they'd even be open to the idea of opening the gates and letting any water out in order to accommodate water that's melting and coming in, that'd be an interesting question for those people. Find out where they're at on
Like
that.
you said, it's common sense, you know, you know with, anytime you're getting between 50 and 80 inches of snow, it's gonna fill that Elm Lake up, that 10 feet is gonna be bam, it's gonna be up there and still running over the dam. And Willow, you know, they could drop that 20 feet, I'm serious, 20 feet, because it'll fill with all them other stuff, it will fill.
Well, you'd sure think the city'd be interested, because if that blows out, they're gonna lose their 12 feet of water
Yeah.
off the top, and
Then you're gonna have no water.
Seems to me like there'd almost be some kind of, I don't know if you wanna call it liability or some kind of concern that thing, the integrity of that whole deal up there is taken care of.
Especially if the Pheasant Lake, something happens to their dam.
Pheasant Lake, yeah, breaks, and then you're gonna get that
That
other
was a
surge.
concern, you know.
It was 10
probably
years
about
ago
50
too.
Yeah,
they
10,
always
15
say.
years ago that was gonna bust, and then, they were having problems up there, so.
Cruiser's dam ain't in that good shape either.
No, well,
No,
yeah,
that's-
the side live there, Cruises Dam, is really.
Junk.
there's chunks out of that,
big time.
I've talked to Bob Sean and one of the councilmen about that, and really gave me the impression they were gonna look at something last year. And, well, in fact, they said that, and nothing has happened, so my question was, if you do repair that dam or do something, are you gonna keep it at the same level and move it up? Because if they, you know, even raise that dam 3 inches, it's gonna cause the Hineses and me some problems, which not much we can do about it, but it'd be nice to know ahead of time what their intentions are, so you can sort of prepare for it, but don't get a, Clint Rux was the one I was talking
If they
about.
raise that dam, yeah.
I talked to, well, Stu Nelson, he's one of the engineers, and they said they were releasing, what was it, 1 million gallons out of Willow, you know, but they didn't start releasing it early enough, you know, and well, they're worried about building more ice. Well, when the water was coming out of Willow, it was cutting the ice, you know, it was melting the ice because water will do that, you know. So, but they just didn't lower it low enough, you know, at that time. They should have anticipated a month or two before running it, you know.
Well, there was a lot of snow up above the Willow, I can tell you that.
Exactly.
Tremendous amount of snow.
And I mean, like I said, there's no reason they couldn't have lowered that 20 feet, Elm Lake 10 feet, and that way you're kind of prepared because it's going to come up to there, but it's still going to come over the dams, but it ain't going to get that initial surge like we got.
But keep,
you know,
keep your primary spillway
Open.
so that
all
as
the time.
the lake level raises, it can slowly go and cut some of the ice dams.
Right.
Well, I don't think School and Public Lands is gonna send somebody up to monitor how much snow or ice is in the floor of the primary spillway.
We got people all along the river that are monitoring.
We know. We know
Every
what it
one of the
does.
people that lives there is at least 2 of them called the city engineer.
And to let them know, you know.
Well, in hindsight's 20/20, and you hate to blame people, but I think the bigger picture, we just want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Exactly.
I think Herb, you hit it on the head when you said, you know, that you just want to know. So to get all these key players in the room, make sure that it's an open book. If this happens, then this is what's going to be the result. And anytime you move water, it's a disadvantage to some people, and it's going to be an advantage to others. But I think even in this situation, you just want to know that it's coming. And those decisions are made, you need to own them, and people need to know. And I think that's the important part of the plan that Chris was talking about, to make sure that everybody's aware this is what's going to happen, and have a voice at the table.
I'll come to a meeting if I'm in the country. I'll come. I can't speak for any of the other.
Oh, all that would be, you know, because it's totally uncalled for. I can watch them dams and I can tell you, you know, all right,
you know, make a call, get a skidster up there, move the snow. I mean, that's so simple.
Yeah, if anybody gets an
That's so
opportunity
simple.
to go and look at what David and Dennis live, where they live up there and what they
Yeah.
put up with, holy crap.
So,
You know, we're used to the water coming up.
right,
You know, it always
fluctuate.
every time
gradually,
it comes up,
you know,
it'll go over this road,
go over that
goes over
road.
that road, and then, okay, then a few days later it starts going down.
Yeah,
But when you have
16 feet and
16
4
feet
hours,
and,
whatever.
yeah, 7 hours or whatever it was,
yeah.
I mean,
I'd be happy to go to a meeting also, but there's more knowledge right there than
3 days.
what I can provide, that's
3
for
days
sure.
with no sleep,
Yeah,
you know.
and then your wife's gotta live in fear because she don't know what's gonna happen, you know?
My wife actually went into town, stayed in town, because she didn't know if she was gonna be able to get out.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can't guarantee getting them out.
One
Both
morning,
roads
one
are
morning
covered.
we had to go through 3 foot of water with the tractor to get out.
Yeah,
Yeah, the spillway's designed to flow. If it's not flowing, I think the issue here is that we don't have clear responsibility. Rare occasions, but when it happens, it's a big deal that it's blocked.
yes.
Because the secondary spillway isn't designed to take the flow that the primary
Not like
is.
that.
And we're talking about spending a considerable amount of money to repair the primary spillway. It needs to function. And so we need to be able to, between the players, identify who's responsible for making sure that it continues to flow when this happens and get it done.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the county would have, you know, in hindsight, if we just understood it would have been our responsibility or that we could participate, we'd have sent some resources out there to open that up,
Yeah, I mean, we're up
That
there
wouldn't have
anyway
been an
with
issue.
other stuff, but.
to physically go do it, but we didn't see it was our call to make at that point in time.
Not really looking for more things right now.
Right.
I
But
just
it's
think
not,
we need some help, because.
well, we need to
it doesn't
identify
do us
who's
any good to talk to
responsible.
the city.
We need to identify who's responsible for making the call and then responding to
Well,
it.
let's set up a meeting with the city and get the School of Public Lands called and get a date, and let's have a conversation. That's what we need to do.
Gary, can you take care of
organizing that?
Chris, where did you find that information that you were talking about?
I just, let me look here.
And Mike probably has it, and he probably had a hand in writing it, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
so I
He'll
just
be able to tell
Googled
us
it.
what's in it. Scott Mines, I'm guessing it's an emergency mitigation plan, he's all over that.
Comes up on the Aberdeen Document Center, is what it says, and it looks like it's aberdeen.sd.us, which I think is.
It's right on our website, yeah, it's right.
You know, and in all fairness to Scott, Mike, I mean, he actually looks at what the National Weather Service sets out, even to the point of how much water is in a foot of snow or in the snowpack that's there. And I think, you know, I think this kind of, how would I say it? It got over and above what Scott Mites thought it was going to be too. He did not realize the calls that he was making, that this thing was going to get as serious as it was. And I mean,
Well, you know, I talked to Scott, and he was up there, but he kind of thought that it was gonna be worse than it was projected to be. He said, I don't know, but what they're projecting is with the moderate flood, he said, I don't know, I think it might be a little better than that, but, you know, you don't know. I mean,
And again, I haven't read this, 'cause it's 82 pages, but it looks like there's a committee set up, there's minutes that they've had before, this is from 2010. There's township participation, there's a whole bunch of different places.
Yeah, we do updates like every 5 years on the mitigation plan.
So there's a committee already set up.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a list of things that would qualify for that funding program. Should, let's say, I can't remember a specific example, but this dam is a good one. You would put that in there as a high-risk piece of infrastructure, and as long as it's on that list and you're going through this process of maintaining the committee, when those funds become available, you can apply for the funds. But it's mitigation money. It's for something that like floods out regularly or something like that, so that you can raise it up high enough so it doesn't happen again.
Is that once every 10 years?
Well, it's pretty much, this is something that rolled out of the 9/11s, you know, the post 9/11 disaster things. It started out as a terrorist deal, like, you know, higher fences around the water plant and different things like that, and it's kind of evolved.
Security.
Yeah, so it's evolved into more of mitigation so that FEMA's not coming back every 5 years when we have a 100-year flood, you know, coming back to keep fixing the same stuff over and over. The goal is you take the money one time, you get it up so that it survives, you know, a big flood event. That's, I'm pretty sure that's what that list is, don't you think, Gary?
Yeah.
So,
So it may be applicable.
it's applicable as far as showing them they've taken responsibility for it because it's on their mitigation list. Where it actually is in their level of priorities, that's another question, you know.
I would think with the proper documentation, this would qualify pretty high. Essentially, that mitigation money is if there's been a FEMA declaration and it's kind of evolved, as Dirk said, a certain amount of the money that they've done for reclaiming things, they've set aside specifically locally if they go through a process to identify if there's things you can do and have additional resources to try and mitigate the effects of future situation.
So, and as far as the damages on the auxiliary spillway, I'm not against doing stuff. I don't like setting precedent, and I'm not looking for more stuff, especially when it's their responsibility. I know that doesn't always give you guys a warm feeling, but that's kind of the reality of it.
I think someone hired a contractor the last time and they came in with a dozer and there was some dump truck loaded.
Oh, to fix up the auxiliary spillway.
Yeah.
Where I was headed with that is, that's gonna qualify, regardless of anything else we talked about, that's gonna qualify under either the FEMA or the ER declaration for this stuff we're fixing up as far as getting it put back. I don't disagree with what you guys are saying about. That's when we get into the mitigation situation where we say, okay, instead of just throwing clay back in here again, so when this happens next time,
Right.
it all ends up down at Mrs. Hickson's.
Yeah.
Let's frickin' throw some riprap in there, let's...
Get it done right.
Right, so, now I'm just giving examples and I'm not giving you any solutions, I'm just, I don't know how all that stuff is, but, I mean, there should be things to get that stuff fixed. Moving forward, you know, I don't know what to tell you.
How do you calculate it though? You know, if you topped all the two bridges at Westport and the one by Herb and Chuck's place, somebody had to haul a whole bunch of gravel in. Because it you know, those bridges, the bridge down on 118th Street by Cruz's Dam, the one guardrail is broken off, it's laying on the side, and there's a dump truck loaded gravel in the trees, and there's debris all over. So how do you calculate those costs, all the gravel that needs to get put in on those roads?
Well,
Or the townships?
Okay, so you're gonna take me down a path I wanna be really careful with here, okay? And what it has to do with who owns the bridge and who owns the approaches up to the bridge. Now,
Right.
so far, no one screwed with me too bad, so I've been pretty happy when we go out and fix them. And we apply a little common sense, and I'm not out there going, no, you guys, if it's a washout, fix it, but don't put a load of gravel off the end of the bridge. We're not doing that, okay? So, the crews wanted specifically to come put the rail back together. If it can be put back together, we'll get it back so that it's legal. Anything on the bridges specifically is the county. I'm being pretty reasonable about the approaches. We're going a few hundred feet either way if it's easy, because we gotta go up there with trucks in. No sense of going in with a frickin' 5-yard load when we can go in with a 40 and just throw it, right? So that's kinda how we're approaching it right now.
Okay.
So most of what you're describing, if there are bridges that are on the county, you know, our county bridges, we'll come and clean them up. I haven't been up like through Heinz's specifically and in through there. I mean, I was there when it was underwater. I saw what happened.
That bridge by Dennis's place there, it's washed out on that one side, you know, so you'll, like I said, you'll have to take a look at it.
So don't worry about the bridge stuff. If you got, you know, anything with your 4-foot and down culverts, you know, that stuff, that's all you guys.
Yeah. Have you looked at the bridge by Cruz's?
Yep.
Because I think on the north side there where that railing's out, there used to be a bank there, you know, a natural bank.
Yep.
And I think that's gone, so how you know, get that reinforced with gravel is gonna be kinda interesting.
Well, I'd like to go look at it.
It's not gonna be simple for you, let's put it that way.
Well, that's what we do though, so it's not, I mean, we'll get there. Like I said, I haven't been up specifically on some of those. We're just kind of getting some of our stuff out. We got 3 or 4 sites to take care of yesterday. There's a big one by Mickens we're going to try to get this week, like a big frickin' pipe washed out there, you know, so. So that's, and don't be afraid to call me. If you guys get into something, if we're not coming and looking at something, if you want to know, hey, do we have to do that? If you're out in the middle of the road and you're nowhere near a bridge, don't call me, just take care of it. But if you're up by a bridge, I'll be pretty liberal. Because it's so much, I mean, we go through, we're in and out of there pretty fast, and I know you guys got some challenges, so. And then I pick and choose a little bit. If we're only gonna go in there with 1 load of gravel and that fluffs something up, probably not gonna throw into the disaster, because we're gonna spend more money processing the claim to get the load of gravel paid back to us, or 80% of it, or 40% of it, or whatever we get, so.
But with trying to fix the auxiliary spillway and some of the other damage and stuff, that can, could, and should be, and we'll verify that it has been included, and that also helps make the case if we're gonna try and do some mitigation, and then have the conversation so we can identify when this happens again, who's gonna take responsibility for keeping that spillway open and do it.
Immediately, yeah. Because with them skidsters, with them tracks now, you can drive right down on that snow. That snow pile can be 7, 8 feet deep. Drive right down there and get yourself a path.
Yeah, and I can't imagine there's any engineer that would say that, you know, you'd want to leave that primary spillway blocked and let the secondary take what it took this time.
Kind of what we heard, you know, that the engineer said, well, the water will melt that. Are you stupid? You know, or what?
Well, it will eventually.
Yeah, eventually. After all the houses are flooded out north in Elm Lake, you know.
Now
we've got to start,
It's gotta have a place to come
All right.
out.
Exactly.
We'll get a meeting set up. We're gonna be sure that everybody's aware of it.
We appreciate
Have
your
the
patience.
conversation.
We're sorry for the heartache. We're gonna try and see if we can get this squared away so it doesn't happen again.
You know, it just, it happens so fast.
Scary
Normally,
deal.
we're
That's
used
a
to it.
scary deal.
Well, yeah, you know, you got livestock, you got family, you got...
You talk about moderate flooding, you know, I'm in the Westport area, and I believe that if the spillways would have been able to maintain what they were designed to do, would have never seen that ball of water come through. I mean, we may have some moderate flooding, but it wouldn't have been to the level it was at.
I agree, you know, 100%.
But you had that surge, it was held back longer than it should have.
Well, you got 2 feet going over an auxiliary spillway, you got 3, 4 feet going over the main spillway, you got 4 feet or 5 feet of water coming at you at one time. You know, it wasn't designed to do that.
No.
You know, so you have to kind of look at that, and I think that's the idea. We need to find out exactly who's going to be in control of this, or how can we all work together to make sure it doesn't happen again. Whether that means, you know, it's like Dirk said, I don't know if the county wants to take on any more responsibility, because we don't have enough funds to take care of our roads the way it is, let alone take on other responsibilities. But if it's school and lands, let's make somebody step up to the plate, or if it's a city, we need to find out who's in charge of this thing and go forward.
So it don't happen again.
In hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have listened to the chief. I wish I would have just took the fire truck.
Got it up there sooner, yeah.
But, you know, the other side of that is everybody's a little cautious. You know, you go up there and something goes wrong, then you're liable for a lawsuit because, well, he was up there and did this. You know, everybody's a little cautious about acting on their own just for the fact that, you know, things can go wrong in a hurry. So, you know, I think we need to find out the main source of who's responsible and put them in charge and say, hey, you know, I don't think it's up to any individual to be out putting his risk out there. You know, you might have been the hero, but you could have turned to be the goat.
But I could be in prison for that. You know, you're up there and truck this Frederick Fire Department on it, and then all of a sudden the whole fire department's in trouble.
Yeah, but I'd be willing to take a skid steer up there and do it, just to save my ass downstream, you know. I mean, it's worth it. I don't care, you know. It's worth it in my book.
But it'd be nice to know if somebody had your back, if you were somewhat able to do that without...
Because evidently nobody's got our back right now, you know.
Well, it sounds to me like with your conversation, the reason he told you not to do it, or suggested you not do it, is because he was under the impression it was going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
He was told they were coming with a hoe.
Yeah.
I guess, do you all want to be notified? All of you want to be notified?
Yep.
I suppose it will. It's going to be posted somewhere because it'll have to be an open meeting.
Yeah, but we'll specifically make sure you're aware of it.
Definitely.
Just make sure we have your numbers if you don't.
Yeah, we'll pass this around again, and if you
Put
want,
your
phone
number
number,
down.
email, whatever you want to contact us.
All right, thanks for your patience.
Thanks for coming in.
Sorry for the heartache.
Thank you.
It was a bad one.
Scary deal.
It's not good. You guys could go home and sleep at night. We couldn't sleep. You know, that's the whole thing. You know.
Strange thing is though, when Prairiewood was flooding, I got an alarm went off on my phone.
Yeah.
I didn't get no alarm. Nothing went off.
On our phone when we live, you know, right down the bottom.
Why is that?
Countywide.
You know?
Yep.
But why wasn't that? Why wasn't the Elm County?
Can't answer that, but I'll ask the question.
You know, I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
wondering,
because I don't know either.
because I couldn't believe it. And they're like, okay, it's flooding, you know, dangerous.
Well, that's why those, the flood predictions and the rest of that stuff, I know when the National Weather Service does that, they're very specific in the briefings to say this does or does not include what happened yesterday into the models for doing that, because that comes in going through a process that they have for those modelings. And they're very specific to say, you know, what we're modeling and what you're seeing does not include, you know, whatever additional factors within the last 12 to 24 hours that we know are being put into the model, but they're not there yet. So as you're looking at what they're saying the prediction is, know that, you know, it has other factors, which aren't always perfect either, but, you know, don't include what you have seen that you know is going to impact it adversely over. So you're going to take all of it with a grain of salt, but yeah.
Because Stu Nelson, he was down to our place Saturday morning, him and his brother's wife and stuff, and said, oh, it looks pretty good, we're releasing so much out of Willow, you know. Then he said he was going to go up the Elm, but when he went up the Elm, he called and said, well, the water's running over the Elm Lake Dam now. He didn't say it was coming over the way it was coming over, you know, 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah.
And that's what really threw us for a loop, you know.
We couldn't just leave it going over that secondary.
No,
Yeah,
it'll wash it out.
not designed for
So
that.
you've got it going over the secondary, then you open up the primary.
That was the
killer right there.
School of Public Lands, I guess.
Okay, we'll let you know.
So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. But no money.
I do have a question on there, Brian Ham. You guys never fixed that road last year. You didn't do nothing. And now it's washed out a lot worse.
Oh, where the 2 culverts are.
There's
Chad Better lives up there
Just on the
now.
north side of where, you know, where they're down there.
Yeah.
Dirk will be able to tell you the game plan.
You don't want it.
They're asking you for a reason.
Thank you.
You need to let us.
I don't have a plan on it right now.
Okay.
At one point last year, we went to make sure, and it wasn't during planting, because somebody sent me a picture of it from up there, and I don't even know who it was.
Right.
But, so it wasn't during planting, but between there and harvest, we did, this is the effort we made. We made sure that you could get through off of 281 and off of 6. I'm not gonna tell you it was a good road, but you could physically get through there. So we didn't fix it last year. To be really honest, I don't wanna fix it. Now, we can have a conversation, and I'd be willing to build up the road going out to 281 to get in by Ham, or the old Ham house. You can come straight in to get to it that way.
Right, but you can't get across.
Right, so you're gonna have to come down the township road and go west, is what I'm saying. Go through, Stump-Shinks and come around. The problem, we have 2 problems there. First is, we don't even have legal access on the south side. Once Brian moved, or, you know, once Ham sold that.
Vetter's got it.
And they've been decent about it. It hasn't been a bad deal, but we end up fixing,
Tearing the road up.
running over
Just taking-
chickens and all that stuff, so we can't
Oh, yeah.
legally even get in there that way.
Touchy about her chickens.
And what happens the other way when we fix it off the township road, in addition to the Ham crossing, we get to adopt 3 miles of township road that we wreck every time.
Right.
And I'm not, it's
Well,
a true
and-
deal, so that's why I
In the
get,
summertime, I don't think you're gonna be reckoning the road, you know, when it's dry.
so if you can guarantee me the township says that we don't have to do anything to the township road, then I would consider it. It'd make it a lot easier, but what usually happens is we gotta put about $30,000 worth of gravel on the township road too.
Because it did tear up Vetter's Road that time when you
Yeah,
guys did
we're not,
fix it the
I'm not
last
gonna go
time.
through their yard
And we
anymore.
gotta haul grain out of there, so.
But it was pretty early when they went in last time to fix it.
Yeah, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, either
Yeah.
way, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I've never gone in there to fix it, where we
Right.
have to pay for 3 miles of township road too.
And part of the issue is timing too. I mean, you try and catch that stuff in the spring to fix it as best you can, when sometimes it's still soft and you get in the middle
Oh,
of the
yeah.
summer, you start chip
Right.
sealing and doing other things, it really messes up
And right
your
now,
ability
you
to
got
be
water in
efficient.
each ditch, you know, so the roads are spongy as it is.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
so, like you said, there's no way you can get in there.
And I'm not trying to be
No.
contentious with you.
But here's the deal, when they tore the bridge out, they, of course, it's nothing on paper. They had a verbal agreement with Brian that they would take care of that.
Oh,
And they would, you know, put the 5 culverts in, and they take care of it every year, because Brian said it's gonna wash out, and they said, well, it's cheaper than putting in a new bridge.
not anymore. They should have put a new bridge in,
New bridge
considering how
in.
much we spent on it.
Well, exactly, yeah.
But I already catch up from these guys about bridges that got put in over the years that are now obsolete. There's one Mr. Feldheim likes to remind me about frequently, you know. So, I mean, I know, but I'm just saying, I get
Farmers
it.
still need to get control, yeah.
Otherwise, they gotta go down 281 with the heavy equipment and all that.
Gunderson Bridge that goes over.
We need to,
One over by,
talk about it.
You can, and I want, actually, I'd like to take these
Well, I
guys
don't
up
think
there
I
so
would
they
take it
can
away
see what
from
I'm
you.
talking about,
Yeah,
get their opinion as well.
yeah, because that's a tough deal there.
That's the problem, by the time you actually get
But
a
it
bridge
got worse.
replaced, everything's changed.
I would imagine.
I mean, okay, are you guys gonna turn that into payment?
No, we can't.
You can't?
No, that got me. No, nobody can. That got taken off the list. You can't keep fixing the same thing like that every year, because we're not taking it out of the 100-year. You have to raise it up high enough before they'll pay you. You keep fixing it.
Below the will, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess.
But we can talk about it some more and see if there's some other options. And I know you guys don't want to go out on the highway, but,
Right.
I mean, I understand that.
Because that's, you know, if you go all the way down to Assumption Bridge, that's a nice bridge.
That's another one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's another one
that
wants
should-
it.
that should
I
have
mean,
been put there.
Hell of an expensive bridge, and what is, something, they use it to cross to feed cows on the other side once in a while.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it won't go to
I guess
work.
there's gravel pits back there, but,
Yeah.
but we don't go in there, so I don't care.
Well,
Okay.
all right, we'll let you work that out with Dirk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Next item on the agenda, we have Erica with HR Director, County Benefits.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're late.
Yeah, what took you so long?
I'm sorry. The coffee pot wasn't working this morning. Okay, last week I brought to you what I recommended for health benefits, vision benefits, dental benefits. I did get confirmation from Delta Dental that we would be able to switch that over to a fiscal year, July 1st to June 30th, from the calendar year that we're currently in, January 1st to December 31st. You had also asked me about wage work. In what our status was with them and looking into things and getting things figured out and situated there, because we'd had some issues with them. And I told you that I had asked Discovery Benefits for a quote or for some information from them. I did hear back from them. Right now, they do provide, Discovery Benefits provides a FSA, our flexible savings account, a little bit cheaper than WageWorks does, and then an HSA or health savings account cheaper than WageWorks does also. They also do not charge like an annual fee or a setup fee or any of that for our members if you do Discovery Benefits, and then they don't charge our members. Like if you have a health savings account, currently our members, it sounds like, get charged $2 for having a health savings account with WageWorks. They wouldn't get charged that with Discovery Benefits.
What's the history of Discovery Benefits? Are you familiar with their
I am.
organization?
Yes, I'm familiar with them. That's who the state currently has to administer their flexible savings account and their health savings account. And with my husband being a state employee, that's how I am familiar with how Discovery Benefits. Yes,
So no monthly fee for the employee?
correct.
It's a no-brainer, $12 a month a year.
What would it take to make, what will it take to make the change?
No, I think it's just approval from the commission, just that they approved to go with Discovery Benefits and our relationship with WageWorks. And then I verified with Discovery Benefits that we could get everything into effect for a July 1st implementation date, and they said yes, that wouldn't be an issue.
Okay. Very good.
So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you guys need from me. I just kind of put together a summary of benefits here for you guys also.
You want to share?
Oh, I'm
No, we don't.
sorry. I can look at it later. This is just kind of a summary of benefits, just kind of what the changes would be, and this is an example of what I would send out to the employees, what the changes would be for the new fiscal year, and kind of defining what the fiscal year would be, July 1 through a June 30th date, and then who the coverages will currently be ending with, if they are ending, like our vision coverage, going from Guardian to a VSP Vision Care, the time frame on that one, And then I just kind of added in here a summary for our health, a summary for our Delta Dental, summary for our vision care plan, and then if we do choose to go with Discovery Benefits, they give a little brochure here on the flexible savings account and the health savings account, flexible spending account and health savings account.
And terrific information.
I would put more detail into the summary benefits. I would add in there like what the county pays for the employee or what the employee plus one or a family coverage would be. So I would add more detail to these also.
Perfect.
I would make a motion that we go with this recommended package, including Discovery Benefits.
Second. We have a motion from Sutton, a second by Weiss to accept the benefits package as presented by our HR director. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I have one more request. If we are continuing to renew with one company year after year, would you mind that I just sign those as long as it is okay with a couple of you? I guess I'm not sure where you would like to stand with that. So we get the renewal, say example Walmart. So we just have our quotes to sign since we're continuing with Walmart. Here's our quotes that they send. So I would just sign those and send them back to Walmart or Insurance Plus. Do you guys mind if I do that?
Mr. State's Attorney.
Or do the commissioners need to sign on those?
Well, so an individual can't enter into a contract with a company, so the commission would have to actually approve it. I suppose you could throw it on the HR report as long as you had a week, you know.
As long as they approve the benefits and then put it on the HR report from there? Okay.
The question is, do you want to sign as chair or do you want to authorize HR director to sign benefit contract?
I think the commission chair should sign it.
Commission chair should sign everything, but I suppose in this specific instance, the commission could approve that Erica does it, but maybe to keep it consistent across the board, Doug just signed it.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and it shouldn't hold things up more than a week at the most.
Okay, yep, not a problem.
That way it relieves you of kind of
Yes, and I understand that.
responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, it would be different if we only met once a month or something like that, but hopefully with, you know, meeting every week, it doesn't hold things up too far.
Do it.
If you're okay with that.
Okay. It shouldn't hold you up at all. I don't know why we have to wait. Just let him sign it today. We already are.
Oh, yeah, but in the future,
Okay.
yeah, when they come up for renewals.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Do we need a motion to authorize the chair to sign the benefits?
You could wrap that into.
What you just voted on?
I think.
We approved.
Yeah, we wrap it into that one.
Contract
If
and
you guys-
renewal for 2020.
Okay, so if it's what you just voted on, just whatever.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks for waiting.
Thanks,
Thank
Erica.
you.
Appreciate it.
Good information, thank you.
Thank you. Do you want me to give it to you?
Yeah, just
And you're late.
take care of that.
Okay.
Dirk, you're up.
Yeah, you're late too. What's the deal?
Partially,
Yeah, I did write a lot of I knew this couldn't stand over there.
I was doing really well. I was trying to look disinterested and everything.
Drag you into it.
You hang around the barber shop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut, right?
Maybe. Clearly have a lot of damn problems in the county.
Yeah.
I mean, damn problems, not damn problems.
Let's see, what am I doing today? Oh, load limits. I just soon take them off tomorrow unless if you guys have an objection. I mean, anything that's weak has already failed. We got some
I'm in
roads
favor of it.
unpaving themselves right now and
I'll move it.
yeah. All right, so we'll start in the morning and they'll go off as we take the signs down.
Moved by Pfeiffer, second by Kipley to remove the load limits as of April, well, it'll be May 1st. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Just-
Motion carries.
Just for an example, if we were gonna extend them past midnight tonight, we would've had to pass another resolution to put them on for, because the actual depth, you know, the way it's defined in law, they expire on the 30th unless you guys extend them. So, next thing I need to surplus 2 trailers. One of them is it's a 2007, it was a oil transport. And we just parked in the backyard and used it as a storage tank. I'm not quite sure how we got to where we are right now, but we can't use it because whatever oil we had in there, mixed in there, or something that was in the tank a couple of years ago set up, and you can't get it out. So I need to discuss with Mike a little bit. It's not a hazardous material, but it is road oil, and I gotta have a little bit of a conversation with Mike on how we dispose of it or whatever, but this isn't something I wanna try to sell to somebody else at the surplus sale. We're gonna have to take it apart, probably remediate the oil at the landfill somehow, and then we'll scrap out the rest of the trailer. We might salvage the running gear off it or whatever, but I'd like to declare it surplus so that we can dispose of it. So that's one. I don't know if you want to do two motions here. This other one's gonna...
If you want to follow what some citizens do, you just leave it in a deserted ditch. Somebody else picks it up.
Okay. Well, it all ends up at the landfill anyway. You guys okay with that? Or
Could you live in town somewhere?
Could you put it on my gravel road up there?
You want it right on your driveway, or?
Solidified now, so it should be one big chunk.
Put it in the auxiliary spillway to fill.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for
Stabilize.
Yeah, at least get something else.
Second it.
both of them.
Well, I gotta tell you about the other one. The other one I wanna sell. The other, so that's the one trailer, that's throw it away. We wanna salvage it, we'll get out of it what we can get out of it. The other one is one of our old live bottoms, and Kathy, I got all the serial numbers and stuff here for you, provided this works out. This is a 1993 that we bought, I believe, in 2003 for $14,000. We bought it from J.D. Evans, so that tells you how long ago it was, and it was used then. So it's one of these we ran kind of in my first tenure, and then as you guys know here, we bought two new live bottoms over the last 3 or 4 years, and these are just ones that we don't really need anymore. Turner County asked me about buying one of these when we got rid of them. They just got a new paver just like the one. That's actually the paver we went and looked at to see, but they're hauling all with end dumps, and then they wrecked a couple end dumps, and he was in a bind. I said, the thing you need are these trailers because he has a semi tube, blah, 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 blah. So I took it over to Butler, got an estimate from them that's worth about $9,500, and I'd like to sell it to Turner County for $9,500. The reason that I want to give it right to, or sell it right to the county as opposed to putting on the surplus sale, I don't think the market for these most mainline pavers, lay it in a windrow and pick it up with a Cocal. Not that they wouldn't use this kind of trailer, but it's a 93. I mean, it's, trust me, when we bought the new ones, I looked to find something that wasn't this, and it wasn't up here, and there's nothing in it's not like you can go buy a $40,000 3-year-old one. You buy them and they keep them. So I'd like to declare this one surplus, and then I'd like to sell it to Turner County for $9,500.
I'll move both of them.
Second.
Motion by Fikert, second by Weiss to sell the two trailers, one to Turner County for $9,500, the other one's gonna be salvaged?
Yep.
Question now,
Yep.
can I?
Yep.
Surplus sale, do any of the counties or does the state at any point ever use like the big iron?
Yep. Yeah, frequently.
Is that something that the county should be looking at or thinking
Yeah,
about?
we have. We do.
We have?
Yeah, we sold, basically, I look at the equipment. Okay, here's an example. This year, I'm gonna come in, if I'm talking like this is already done, I'm gonna come in and very kindly ask you folks to surplus this stuff. But, like our old paver, we're gonna surplus that. Now, you'd be surprised at how low the value on it is. But I'm gonna sell it, I'm gonna put it on our surplus sale, and there's another piece. It's, I can't remember. We have two things that are just a little bit better than our normal scrap iron type stuff that we're selling. So we're gonna put reserves on them. If the local guys don't pony up a little bit, then we'll just pull them off and I'll put them on Purple Wave or Big Iron or something. I mean, that's how we sold the Cat blade.
Okay.
We sold that on Purple Wave.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, and Gary and I have looked at some different things. I mean, there's a guy that'll sell surplus pencils if you want him to. There's different, but if we get into something that I kind of got the feeling we could do better, but, most of our stuff and who buys it, you know, you get Paul Myers and the Hutterites there at the same time, you might make some money, you know, you just gotta get some people that are interested in it, so.
That's right, it's two.
So, are you looking to see if the camera's on? I'm sorry. I forget I'm not elected, so I tend to. Last thing is our department update, just to kinda, we've been picking away at what we can get at, you know, I'm not a big fan of wrecking 2 miles of road to fix one, so the stuff we can get into and like some of the stuff these guys were referring to, we're picking away at those. I'm gonna submit some stuff into FEMA today, I gotta get it over to Mites. I'm only submitting about 5 spots for the county. The only one that's a real significant thing is, you know, we talked about last week with the Hall crossing, and I pulled up the old plans, you know, that was a FEMA project the last time it was fixed, and it was $137,000 to build that. I mean, if we're gonna try to salvage what's there, we're gonna spend more than that on it. So we'll just have to see. I'll come up with a number and I'll put it on the chart and we'll send it in and see what happens. So we're picking away at some of that stuff. We're getting a little bit of gravel hauled. We're cleaning up the gravel from the Otter Tail lay-down yard up there along 281. We've made a little arrangement so that the county can have that gravel. If I remember right, it's a significant amount of gravel, but I guess the logic I put to that, if you're going to go open up a gravel pit right now, the first thing you're going to do is strip all the topsoil off it. Well, in this case, it's gravel.
You're blading gravel, I seen them working on it out there.
Yep. So we're stockpiling some of that on State 10 and hauling a little bit of it directly to the road.
How many yards are there roughly?
I don't know. Quite a bit. It's a big number. It's like more than we'd use in a year.
They put a lot in there. Good. Yeah, I remember on them.
It's anywhere from, I'm hoping to get like 30 off of it. And our stockpile in the yard's worth about $16 a ton. So if you got 30 off, it's $480,000.
Good for us.
We'll see here. Now we got to make the ground farmable. That's part of it. But I don't know.
It'll be worth the effort.
Well, you know, and I didn't squawk too much, but when they put that in there, when they put the lines through here, that's the only time where we've struggled getting material. I mean, you call it the gravel pits, no, Otter Tail's got it, no, they took everything good right through the middle of the county, and that's why we were up at the Hutterite colony up there, that's why we're over at Britain. Well, that's economically feasible at Brent too, because the price is so low. But I mean, that's why we had to go so far out to bring it in. So it's nice that we have an opportunity to reclaim some of that. So,
just a second, Dirk. Before we back up here, I believe we had a motion by Pike, second by Weiss to take care of our surplus trailers, and we didn't get the vote on it. So all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we got that covered now.
We got Road 23 down there where we had it closed, the water was over it. We'll eventually do a grade raise right past Fernie. So the way that we're sort of approaching this, and the Tacoma Park Road's starting to come out of water, but that's a minefield. There's big sections of road gone on that and stuff. It's right in front of Tacoma Park Place. It's fairly contained. It's not super, you know, it's a quarter mile in there. We'll figure it out, but so those areas, you're going to see temporary grade raises. We're going to get them up and open so that they can get farming. And then as we move along here a little bit, we're going to go in, probably double the culvert size. Not, you know, go from a 2-footer to a 4-footer in a few of these areas to get the road raised up. So we're doing some of that. Supposed to be able to get our hands on some asphalt starting Monday, which I sure hope, because we got, like I said, boy, that Road 9 west of Westport, part of that looks like it was milled up and it wasn't. And
it's springtime.
So, but not too much good stuff. I mean, as long as the good stuff doesn't break up, if the old crappy stuff breaks up, it's going to break up. But as long as the new stuff, you don't go along and all of a sudden we got a massive failure. So
will 9 going west of Westport there, will the state be doing that this year because of their project next year on Highway 10 with the bridges?
Yep.
So we don't want to put a lot of money into that.
Well, yeah, but I'm not sure we can wait for them on some of it.
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from, and I think what's going to happen there anyway, Doug, is where they're going to take it back to this level, and I'm already pretty sure that I'm going to want to go in and add a little more. You know, they're not going to sit down originally, you know, but they're not going to sit down and give us a 2-inch mat for 10 miles, you know, they were going to hit the worst spots. I think that'll expand more now, and then we can supplement it too. I mean, we're gonna keep it hard surfaced either way. That's,
Where would they go if you told them you were gonna mill that 9? Where's their next?
they probably ask us on 7 and then after that, but see, 7 probably doesn't meet the truck requirements. The car requirements for detour are pretty easy, but when you start putting truck traffic on it, that's when we end up with where they're paving roads and doing stuff like that. Because there isn't any, there's 7 and there's 9, and I'm not sure what happens to 7 over in McPherson County, but 9, you know, that was kind of palatable to them because 9 continues over to West, or Watonka and up, and it's, you know, kind of a
Well,
decent
there aren't very
road.
many miles in McPherson County on 7.
No. Oh, you're saying before it...
Yeah, and it's ended. You know, you run into the Westport, or Watonka Forbes Road.
Oh,
I think it's
okay.
only 3
It
miles.
just stops right there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they could, and I would assume that some of the locals will be going around on 7 to get from, you know, field to field, but they're usually worried about the trucks that are through trucks on there.
Now, are you talking about the bridges on 10?
Yeah.
Well, are they gonna make, they're not gonna make,
No.
detours on the sides?
No.
Wow.
And I can't speak to exactly how they make that decision, but I'm sure, you know, the DOT's got lots of charts, and they kind of do this and this, and this is what we do, you know what I mean? There's, even though it doesn't seem like it makes sense, or like somebody just pulled something off from their bottom desk drawer, there's usually a plan, especially with them, and, you know, there's a process. So I'm sure that up to a certain point, or a certain condition, or a
We are out of exec, no action as a result. Anything else to come before the commission?
move to adjourn.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipling to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.